July 14th, 2014. Guys, we're looking at a painting called The Destruction of Jerusalem, and you've got the Roman army invading. Notice in the right there, and notice the people flocking in and out through the bottom, some invading, some trying to escape. The walls are burning. 3 weeks later, the temple was burned. From the time they breached the walls until they ransacked the entire rest of the city but destroyed the temple. Now, there's another temple there. It's called the Baha'i Faith and One World Religion. It's tied to the Pope. It's called, also in there is the House of Justice in Haifa, Israel, which is part of this Baha'i Faith. You have a temple. But why did God let Rome destroy Jerusalem? Why has 2 temples been destroyed? Because they turned his back on him. They started worshiping false gods and false idols. Now, this House of Justice is by the Baha'i Faith. It's worldwide. It's almost in every state in the Union. Definitely tied to Rome, and I'll again link to the video where I did that. But guys, tomorrow starts what's called the 3 weeks. It's time to pay attention. It says the 3 weeks beginning with the 17th of Tammuz, which is tomorrow, and ending with the 9th of Av, or known as the Between the Straits, or Bien HaMetzarim. I didn't butcher that, but it means between the straits. It's important. Between the days of distress, or the 3 weeks, some customs of mourning which commemorate the destruction of Jerusalem are observed from the start of the 3 weeks. The oldest extant reference to these days as the between the straits, which is also the first source for a special status of the 3 weeks, is found in the Eka Rabita. Now, it glosses Lamentations 1.3 here, and this is the key of the whole video. 1.3 says, all Zion's pursuers overtook her between the straits. That's called, if you look up at the top of the video, between the straits is between tomorrow and 3 weeks from then on the 9th of Av. Now, again, think back and read the Old Testament. Why were the first 2 temples allowed to be destroyed? You know that. And guys, never forget that Revelation tells us there's those that be in Judea that claim to be Jews that are not and are of the synagogue of Satan. We know that's Rome. Now, there's people there tied with Rome. Yes, there are people tied with Rome. That's what the whole problem is. Look at, on the top left, our president is now a Muslim, Jew, American, Hawaiian, something. You've got not Netanyahu in the top. You've got the Pope in the bottom. You've got Shimon Peres in there, the greatest Muslim trader of all times, now with the Muslim president of the U.S. It begins tomorrow, dawn to sunset, this year, 2014 date. You see that? Now, it's a Jewish fast day commemorating the breach of the walls of Jerusalem before the destruction of the Second Temple, and falls on the 17th day of the Hebrew month of Tammuz, and marks the beginning of the 3 weeks mourning between the leading up to Tishba B'Av. This day also commemorates the destruction of the twin tablets of the 10 Commandments. It occurs 40 days after Shavuot. Moses ascended Mount Sinai on Shavuot and remained there 40 days. The children of Israel made the golden calf on the afternoon of the 16th. That's today. Okay? According to looking back at the Mishnah, it says Moses broke the 2 tablets. The daily Tamid offering ceased to be brought. The walls of Jerusalem were breached. That's tomorrow. Prior to Bar Kokhba's revolt, Roman military leader burned a Torah scroll. An idol was erected in the temple. You understand? There's temples there. God is coming with the new city that will not need a temple in it, because Christ will be the temple. This is some of the paintings of that era. I mean, guys, about that event. Now, the 9th of Av is the end of the 3 weeks. It's an annual fast day in Judaism which commemorates the destruction of the first and second temples in Jerusalem and the subsequent exile of the Jews from the land of Israel. The day also commemorates tragedies which occurred on the same day, including the Roman massacre over 100,000 Jews in Bitar at 132 CE, It says, is regarded as the saddest day in the Jewish calendar and a day which is destined for tragedy. Again, this is the ending of the 3 weeks. Nightfall on August 4th. Times are really getting interesting, and history has a way of it repeating itself. We'll see, but on this day, in the Jewish synagogues, they read the Book of Lamentations, which mourns the destruction of Jerusalem. It talks about the other things that are remembered then, the murder of the 10 martyrs, the Crusades, and the destruction of the European Jewry and the Holocaust. But again, you can look at the dates for the last year, this year, the 15th and the 16th there. But this, it says it commemorates the destruction of the first and second temples, which both occurred on Av 9, about 655 years apart. In connection with the fall of Jerusalem, 3 other fast days were established at the same time on this 9th day of Av. Again, that's August 4th, beginning at dark. It says the episode of the Golden Calf, the First Crusades. This is just kind of a wrap-up, and if I go too fast, you can pause it. Jews were expelled from England, from France, from Spain. Germany entered World War II. And on Av 9, on 1941, SS Commander Heinrich Himmler formally received approval from the Nazi Party for the final solution. Almost 1/3 of the world's Jewish population was captured and killed at that time. You can see why it's a bad day. Most religious communities use this to mourn the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust. Now, I think that's when Obama lit the eternal flame and placed the wreath. If you remember that from last year, guys. Now, what is going on with ISIS? Because Hamas in itself is not going to be able to overrun Israel. You can pause this, and this goes on to tell you some of the other things that have happened. But it's going to take, for this army that's coming upon Israel, it's going to take a lot more than just Hamas. And we've talked about this. You've got Hezbollah, and especially ISIS and Al-Qaeda. All of these are going to join together. Now, let's go to Joel 2. Now, the picture is showing back on July the 6th, just a little over a week ago, they were building this giant wall. You see that? There's cranes and bulldozers all on this line in Iraq, and they're trying to keep ISIS out of the Diyala province there, and that's the Eden of Iraq, that area. But it says, let's look at Joel 2. It says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, back to Israel, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. This is a picture of what they were trying to guard. Again, it's the largest orange groves, olive groves in the world, in the Middle East. All type of crops, melons, hundreds of thousands of acres. And this back on July 6th, that's when this article with the picture below is fortifying Diyala province. Iraqi forces build a wall to keep out fighters from ISIS. It says the extremist offshoot of Al-Qaeda has blazed across northern and western Iraq, parading its weapons through the streets. It's presented the biggest security threat to the country since the bloodshed unleashed by the U.S.-led invasion to Saddam Hussein in 2003. Now, they're already, guys, fighting in Jordan. Israel's getting rockets out of Lebanon, Jordan, and Hamas. Now look what's happened since they built the wall just 8 days ago. Thousands of acres of farmland cultivated with melon and watermelon were burned by the terrorists of ISIS in Levant and the Adham area of northern Diyala province. The correspondent of Iraqi News reported the terrorists burned thousands of acres of farm land cultivated with melon, watermelon, again in Diyala. Thousands of acres are burning. Now, God will use whatever army he wants. It doesn't have to be a Christian army, because the Romans weren't Christian when they first destroyed the temple. He can use any army he wants to get Israel's attention, and really the rest of the world. Guys, do you realize that there was protest in Los Angeles yesterday and that were pro-Israel, and they were attacked by the anti-Israel protesters with sticks and stuff. There were gunshots fired. One of the Homeland Security agents fired a gunshot. They finally captured those guys. But in France, they're rioting there. They were trying to attack the Jewish synagogues. They had, I think, 6,000 Islam marchers. It's worldwide. Israel, the nation, is all around the world. It's like the sands of the sea, guys. But these days need to be watched very closely. It's a heads up. Be safe.